So there are both tangible and intangible costs to an apprenticeship program. So maybe start with the tangible. There is some oversight required within an apprenticeship program. The good news is with a registered apprenticeship program, all the Department of Labor really asks us to do is adhere to the standards that we establish as a company. So at Idaho Power, we've done a few things and we're just required to adhere to those. First, we have an apprenticeship coordinator who helps oversee all of our programs. I should mention that she also has a full-time job on top of that. So we don't, with our 2,000 employees and 8 programs, have one employee who has a full-time job overseeing apprenticeship. I think that's important to mention. Our apprenticeship coordinator does spend a good amount of time with apprenticeship, but has a lot of other tasks and duties within our training department as well. On top of that cost, we also hold regular apprenticeship committee meetings. And so we have journeymen and supervisors within our company who are placed on a committee to really oversee each of the apprenticeship programs. And the purpose of that is to make sure that the training curriculum and on-the-job training is still appropriate for the field. There are constant changes in our industry, so that group meets to discuss the training to ensure it's still applicable for the field or for the course of study that the apprentice is currently in. They review all of the curriculum to make sure that it's meeting the company's objectives. They also review progression for each of the apprentices to determine if any remediation is needed for those apprentices. We've set it up to have those apprenticeship advisory committees meet quarterly. Some companies do that annually, and that's just fine too. So there is an expense to that group getting together. However, I would say that while their time, is impactful, it's very valuable time because they're spending some dedicated time talking about the training of our future workforce. And so how better should they be spending their time? In addition to that, we are held accountable to provide the training we say we're going to provide. And so as I have mentioned before, at times as a company we might want to, put off training. Things get busy, budgets get tight. The first response might just be, well, let's conduct that training here in a few months. And it does hold us accountable to make sure that we're providing the right training at the right time to our employees so they're able to progress through the apprenticeship program. So there's some accountability on the employer. That being said, if we have a class we're asking an employee to take or on-the-job training that we don't any longer think is relevant, we have the power to make that change. So if we decide that we want to make an alteration to the actual apprenticeship program, it's a quick call to the Department of Labor, some changes in our standards. We really have the ability to manage and oversee our apprenticeship program how we see fit. I would say in terms of intangible costs, you definitely have the audits that are performed by the Department of Labor. Those are really to make sure we're doing what we say we're doing. We don't spend a lot of time on those, but if there were issues or remediation needed, there could be some time required. We don't track those expenses, and honestly for Idaho Power it's been a fairly minimal expense, but it's important that an employer understands that whatever they put in their standards, they're going to be held accountable for. And there's just the general meetings with employees and ensuring that they're meeting the objectives that they need to be meeting. And so, a supervisor will have more structured conversations with an apprentice than perhaps they would otherwise. Our expectation is that our foremen meet with our apprentices at least quarterly to do an update on how they're progressing. That's probably the right thing to do for every employer, but we do make that a requirement for our apprenticeship programs.